Well, in the garage with me today is Jill Bookman from American Collectors Insurance. Jill, this is great. This is a real treat for me. I got all these car guys in here with me all the time. This is nice. I like this.
Thank you. I appreciate that.
Now, you've been in collector car insurance pretty much your whole life.
Yes, since I was 10.
Just a couple of years ago. But you grew up in it, and it was really started by your dad, who was an insurance guy and also a hobbyist,
Yes.
and saw kind of a need and said, let's do this.
That's right. He combined his knowledge with his passion and started a business like so many car hobbyists do.
And that's that's the wonderful thing about this hobby. Is so many of the businesses started that way.
Yeah.
And of course, insurance is a good thing to have all the time. Mm-hmm. It's a particularly good thing to have in bad times.
Yes.
And you can have individual things that'll happen, but we've recently had some pretty big holistic disasters that you were kind of caught up in. Superstorm Sandy was one of them.
Sandy was about a year ago, and it affected 16 states up and down the Atlantic seaboard. It hit New Jersey right on the head. We're in Cherry Hill, New Jersey, and the storm landed 50 miles from where we are. So we have been in business a long time. We've weathered a lot of events. We got through Katrina, we got through Andrew, Irene. Sandy was big. All big storms, but this was a different caliber altogether. There's such a huge, dense population of people in New Jersey, New York, Long Island.
And a dense concentration of the hobby up there, too. So you've got a lot of people participating in this hobby.
Yes.
That had to be quite an experience for you guys.
It was quite an experience. I mean, when we started realizing just how devastating the impact Sandy was going to have to our area, we were thinking, oh, gee, people lost homes, they lost businesses, they lost their regular cars. But the day after the storm, I mean, the winds hadn't even died down, we started getting calls, and we started getting a lot of calls. Those areas are such a hotbed of collector activity that we just have thousands and thousands of customers there.
Well, it's wonderful because, I mean, people lost everything, and at least in their collector car area, that was sort of taken care of, and you guys were taking care of that.
It was. We sort of got an all-hands-on-deck mentality. Fortunately, we had lots of people cross-trained to take claims calls, myself included. No one was exempt. We were all on the phone for weeks and weeks after the storm, taking the calls, making sure adjusters got out there as quick as they could.
But one of the great things about collector car insurance, American Collectors Insurance, is agreed value, because these cars are insured for the amount that you and I have decided they're worth.
Right. When someone buys a policy from us, we agree to the value of the collector vehicle, and that dollar amount is printed right on the policy.
And that's what you're going to get.
And that's what you're going to get if that car goes up in flames, drowns in dirty seawater, whatever happens. The collector has the peace of mind in knowing that the car is protected for the full insured value.
Which is not the case in standard insurance.
No, regular insurance just protects the physical damage for an actual cash value, which is some depreciated amount. It's just an old Chevy or an old Ford.
So it's like book value of $50, even though you've got 50,000.
Right. So I mean, silver lining was for our customers, they lost their cars, but they were able with the money to buy the salvage back and restore the car. 40% of our customers bought the salvage back.
And they're back in the hobby.
And they're back. If you qualify, meaning you're really a collector and you're not just looking for cheap insurance, you have a car that you cherish, that you take care of, that you protect, that you drive with a collector mentality. We understand that, and we're not going to charge regular rates from that. We're going to charge a much lower rate because we understand that you're taking great care of this car.
So there's no reason not to do this.
I don't think so.
I don't think so either. Well, I'm a believer. I've been a believer for a long time. Well, hey, if you want to learn anything more about collector car insurance, and especially insurance from American Collectors Insurance, log on to myclassiccar.com. Yeah, I wouldn't go without it.
AutoGeek.net. We are Car Care.
Overtime editor Ann Silvio talks with Leslie Stahl.
Jake, I wanted you to meet these three grown-ups. Have you ever met anybody with your kind of memory before?
No. Leslie, in your latest story on people with super memories, we learned that children have been identified who have this ability. Mm-hmm. Tell me about Jake.
Jake is a remarkable little boy because he's just so engaging and so fun to be with.
Adorable.
Adorable and adorable. He can remember the way all the others can.
Okay, Mary Lou?
April 6th, 2011.
April 6, 2011. Wednesday.
It was such a sweet moment when he finally meets these adults who have the same abilities that he has. They're almost mentors to him.
What would you like to know from them about life with this kind of memory as you grow older?
Will you ever lose it?
I don't think, well, I haven't, and Bob hasn't, and, you know, and Louise hasn't. And
I don't want to forget my address when I'm like 80 years old.
I found with Jake, though, that he right now is suffering with his inability to get the sad, bad thoughts out of his head. And I don't think in his life so far he is experiencing as much joy as the adults are.
He's new at it.
He's new at it. And he is unable to push away the bad thoughts.
Eventually, I'm probably going to have something really bad that's going to happen to me. And sometimes I just bang my head. It doesn't go away.
I'm not sure I would want my child to have this condition.
Well, I don't know. It's two-edged. They all say they love being able to go back and remember, and I began to be a little envious.
Really?
There are so many times in my life that I just, it's gone completely gone, erased.
Now, one of your interview subjects actually jogged an old memory for you. You were talking to Jared Hurd. He's one of these adults with a super memory.
There's a couple of things that I remember distinctly that involve you.
Me?
At age 11, he's watching television. The Republican National Convention is on. It's 1980, and he remembers you.
And I believe it was Wednesday the 16th. You were on the floor.
Leslie Stahl has more on why this demonstration is being prolonged. Leslie?
I knew precisely what he meant. Ronald Reagan was the candidate, and he was in search of a vice president. So it was the night when it was going to be announced. Walter Cronkite was saying that Jerry Ford was going to be the vice president. And as I was about to go on the air, a very senior lieutenant from the Reagan camp came up and whispered to me, it's going to be Bush. So then I turn. I haven't even had a chance to collect my thoughts. And I spit it out.
Oh, Walter, I am just being told by a high lieutenant that the choice is Bush.
And I think you said something like, it's Bush.
It's Bush.
Leslie Stahl, that's the most amazing piece of news we've heard since we heard it was Ford. Now, hold on.
You look breathless.
I was breathless.
You look exhirated.
They're all yelling Bush all around me.
I love that headset you're wearing.
Yeah, the headset, it's Bush, it's Bush.
Well, they better bring the adrenaline up here to the anchor booth.
If your adrenaline flows when you're having your experience, you're more likely to remember it. Well, my adrenaline was really flowing because I was breaking a story on live television. So it's an absolutely vivid memory for me.
This must be what it's like for them for all their good memories.
Exactly.
Social media, I think, has really helped everyone
It
out.
copied our idea.
It has.
Seriously.
It has.
This whole Facebook thing, today
Right.
so-and-so's birthday. Yeah, I know that.
They all seemed uplifted by the experience of finally finding their own kind.
Oh, definitely. I was struck by that too. That when they got together, isn't this wonderful that we have this? I think they loved being in their own little community.
In 8th grade, they gave us, and it was open book except for me, they gave an 1,100 question, 1,100 blanks test that they gave us a week to do. I did it in 2 days and got a perfect score.
Wow.
Well, there's something strangely amusing about it.
1991 was identical to 1985, so, but past February 29th, I think March 1st.
They're remembering things that defy even our own imagination to be able to get in that deep, so it makes you smile.
Stress and your health. A new survey this morning finds that teenagers are more stressed out than adults, if you can believe that. 27% of teens say they are extremely stressed during the school year, and that's compared to only 21% of grown-ups. The bad news here, teen stress tends to stick around through adulthood, and chronic stress can take a serious toll on your heart. Dr. Tara Narula is a cardiologist at Lenox Hill Hospital in New York and joins us at the table. Good to see you again, Dr. Narula. I think most people already know that stress is bad for your health. What specifically do you want us to know about the damage that it causes?
Stress causes damage to all the organs in the body, not just the heart. And what happens is that when you're stressed out, you release two things. One is cortisol, which is a stress hormone, and the other one is hormones like adrenaline, epinephrine, or norepinephrine. These circulate throughout the body. They damage the blood vessels, they raise the blood pressure, raise the heart rate, can increase cholesterol levels, cause plaque disruption to the arteries of the heart and the brain, which can lead to heart attack and stroke, and they generally increase inflammation. So the problem is that we're turning on this stress response in our daily lives all the time, and then we're not turning it off when we should be.
This survey is interesting to hear that more than a quarter of teens are extremely stressed out. What effect does this have on younger people?
So it would have the same effect on younger people, except now you would be seeing damage to the lining of the blood vessels at an even earlier age. And when that happens and you have elevated blood pressure, then you're just increasing your cardiovascular risk over time.
How do you turn it off?
That's a really great question, and that's the question that I get asked in my office all the time. I think it's a very individualized thing, and so what works for one person doesn't necessarily work for someone else. There's lots of different techniques people can try, from exercise to yoga, meditation, deep breathing, having social support, people you can talk to, having an animal, and generally just keeping a positive attitude and finding a sense of humor for situations.
You say it's true you can actually die of a broken heart, emotional?
Yes, it is unfortunately true. There is something called a broken heart syndrome. It actually was first characterized in Japan, and it's called Takotsubo cardiomyopathy because the heart ends up looking like the shape of an octopus trap. And so Takotsubo is a name for octopus trap in Japanese. And basically what happens is when you're stressed, you have this surge of hormones that I described before that can be toxic to the heart muscle and essentially cause stunning of the muscle so that the front part of the heart, the apex, does not contract very well. And people can have heart failure from this and end up with chest pain and EKG changes and all the problems that would simulate a heart attack.
And we always hear some personalities are more prone to stress. I always hear about type A personalities.
Yes. So type A was...
You know anybody like that?
I know a lot of people. Almost every doctor has type A. So type A was originally described in the 1950s, and the idea was, could this lead to increased cardiovascular events if people had this personality? And the first research studies showed that it might actually have some influence on that. Later research studies were more inconclusive. What we're looking at now is actually type D personality, a distressed personality.
Boring people?
No. People who have negative affect and then are socially inhibited, so they can't express their emotions. And that may actually be the most damaging of all.
We just need to be aware. Thank you.
The next level of autonomous technology.
It's a major theme at this year's LA Auto Show, cars with brains. Bart Herring is with Mercedes-Benz.
What can this car do that some of your others may not?
Now with the E and the S class, we have a car that can actually steer itself.
Mercedes uses radar, sonar, and infrared sensors along with 2 video cameras to help the vehicle see the road ahead, enabling the car to react much quicker than the driver.
And even stop itself if it has to.
But collision avoidance technology, once confined to luxury cars, is going mainstream.
These are actually the 2 cameras mounted up here.
Subaru's Dominic Infante says its new system may soon be standard equipment in the U.S. He says the technology's been common in Japan for almost a decade.
If you don't hit the brakes in time, it's going to do it for you?
Exactly. It's an unusual feeling as it takes over, but as long as you have faith in it, it will stop the car.
This year, the Insurance Institute for Highway Safety added something new to its crash test, a category called crash avoidance. This test was at 25 miles per hour. Subaru got top marks. Auto tech journalist Doug Newcomb says that with so many distractions on the road,
drivers become complacent. And that's the whole idea behind the technology, is to look out for them when they're not paying attention.
In traffic, this car can actually start itself, stop itself, and basically be in stop-and-go traffic and drive you.
That's exactly right. That's really one more step to the ability to have autonomous driving.
A space-age dream that may soon be a reality.
Fully autonomous from the moment you enter the highway up until exit.
We're much closer to cars driving themselves than I think a lot of people imagine.
Carter Evans, CBS News, Los Angeles.
Congratulations on the 4th season of Shameless.
Mr. Frank is as down and out as ever. Okay, tell us, will he ever get a new liver?
Yes. Yes, I know that because I have a contract. It's a tough season. I'm sick the whole season, but they've done a great job at finding the humor, the levity in that, and it's really a wonderful season. It's sadder a little bit, but good grief, I love that show.
Yeah, we love it so much. Now, you do look really different when you're all cleaned up, like Aisha was saying. You look great, but have you ever had your makeup on and had anybody mistake you?
Totally. I was in
Oh,
Chicago.
God. Oh, gosh.
This is the second season.
That's down and out.
We were shooting on the streets of Chicago, and it's a smallish sort of company. We didn't lock down the whole street. I'm standing there drinking a cup of coffee, and someone dropped a quarter in it. Did you think that? Well, I was in shock, and then she looked in and saw there was coffee there, and she looked in and she went, "Oh," and ran away.
As an actor, you're like, oh, I'm persuasive, right? Now, you just directed your first feature film. Congratulations. It's called Rudderless, and it stars your very own wife, Felicity Huffman.
Felicity is in it, Billy Crudup, Anton Yelchin, Fishburne's in it.
Wow.
Selena Gomez is in it.
Oh, wow.
Crazy for her.
Great lineup. Now, at the premiere on the red carpet, you and your wife had a little bit of a public display of affection for each other, which, and the paparazzi love that.
Oh, she goes nuts.
She looks so proud.
Well, she wants to knock me down and stuff. She'll jump on me. She gets really rowdy at those things.
Make your day 5 times better. The Talk, CBS Weekdays.
So where did you guys meet? Junior high?
No, well, I could tell you the truth is that I was doing a play down in the Village in I guess it was the 70s, and I went in between the matinee and the evening performance to pick up a sandwich at the deli, and a little girl was in there who had just seen the matinee, and her brother said to him, "Oh, you like that actor? Go tell him that you liked him." And it was Kira. And,
Wow, she was just a little girl?
She was a little girl, yeah. She was 12 years old. I don't really remember it. In her memory, this is kind of interesting. No.
I think we're running out of time.
No. But she said to me last night something that I'd forgotten. Said in her memory, I was buying myself a beer, which is kind of interesting because I don't work drunk.
Right.
And it seemed a little strange.
Loser.
Yeah, right. It seemed I must have been kind of fast and loose with my professionalism back then. If I was having a beer in between the matinee and the evening performance.
That's not a big deal. Just a beer, mind you. I'm an alcoholic, but still, they.
I don't know. It surprised me.
And
anyway,
and then you met later on.
We met. I don't remember it. And then later on, actually, Jeff Daniels and Cynthia Nixon were doing a play.
Yeah.
And
you went out for a beer.
Yeah. They wanted to turn this play into a television film, and neither Jeff Daniels nor Cynthia Nixon wanted the parts. And those parts were taken by me and Kira, and so we really have them to thank for their sloppy seconds in a way, and that's how we met.
Ray Martin here with 3 simple but important financial goals you should add to your list of New Year's resolutions. First, reduce account clutter. If you have multiple accounts with the same general purpose, several different bank accounts or 401ks from different jobs, it's time to consolidate. Having fewer accounts makes it easier to monitor and manage your overall asset mix. Plus, it's easier to keep details like passwords, contact information, or beneficiary designations up to date. Next, clean up your credit. Do you really need all those credit card accounts? Do you have small loans outstanding, like a car loan or student loan, that you could pay off? Each credit account you don't need should be closed. Not only will that make your overall financial picture clearer, but it could improve your credit score and lower your risk of identity theft. Finally, track your spending. Make this the year you start entering all of your financial transactions, including everything you spend, into a financial program such as Intuit's Quicken or TurboTax. As a financial advisor, I can tell you that my clients who do this spend more wisely, waste less money, and are more confident in their finances. Make that a goal for you too.
Your all-time favorite Amazing Race All-Star teams are back. Woo, baby! For another shot at the $1 million prize. We're going back home with a pocket full of money. For the most challenging. You did it! Exciting.
I'm not killing myself for nothing.
Amazing race ever. But one team might not make it to the starting line. The Amazing Race All-Stars. New episodes. Sundays, only CBS.